Alrighty, good morning, everybody. It is, what is it, Tuesday? It is Tuesday, January 14th, 2025. Let's go ahead and jump on back here, take a look at what happened yesterday. I did find the market to be a little wonky here and there, but otherwise there were some pretty good opportunities. Did take on a couple stop outs yesterday, so I kind of just walked away. And it was just, I felt a little bit sloppy, although we did have some really good opportunities in here. So let's take a look. We were talking about basically expecting the market to continue to sell off. However, if the bulls jumped in, because remember, anything's possible when you have a bias one way or the other. Once certain levels break, you have to change your perspective, right? So our other perspective, even though we did expect it to sell off, was that if the bulls did jump in and get through 50, stay above 50% of the previous day, get up through the previous daily high, those would all be clues that maybe we were going to get a small bounce because we had those hourly bullish signals from the low of the overnight session right off our roadmap level back here. So there was a 1 hour clue for a bounce, but no other time frames really clued in for me. And we ended up getting the bounce, right? So once we got up through VWAP, got up through previous daily high, it was then, previous daily low, it then started to look like maybe the bulls were going to try and rip this higher. But let's look and see what was going on in here. So the market opened, again, just kind of a little bit wonky in here, and then pulled back. And then unfortunately, it didn't come right into the level. It was one tick in front, and that was the low of the day. So in the overnight session, they came into the roadmap level, kind of played around, and then pulled back and used it for the bounce. And then they came back to it here right in out of the open, and again missed it by one tick. And then that was the beginning of this whole bullish push up to the high of the day. So let's look at some of the other notable rotations in here. This was a great short opportunity. A bunch of bearish divergence as they were kind of peeking into VWAP and the holy orange power level there. And you got yourself a really nice little 5, 6, 7 point pullback right into the 200 moving average. Now, when they did pull back into the 200, we then got that counter bull signal. Nice bullish divergence holding the 200, and then that led the next breakout. So there was a good opportunity there. If you were looking to fade the market again off VWAP, there actually was a decent setup there, and you actually probably made 5 points on the pullback, but then it came right back. So it came up, again, didn't cleanly come right into the level and pull back in this instance. So this isn't a setup for me. I see there's a bearish divergence, but we're already up through the level pretty appreciably at that point, so I wouldn't have taken that trade. But on the pullback, that right there would have been a beautiful opportunity to try and play in the long direction as you notice that we're starting to get through VWAP, get back through Hopeful, get up through the 200 and the fast moving average, and get that nice little mean reversion with a bullish divergence off the 200. Again, textbook trade setup, and then you get that push right to the previous daily low, right? I warned you guys that this level right here, 58.4675, we wanted to keep that on the charts because that was going to be a relevant area in the chart for a potential pullback. And what happened? We came right up to it and pulled back 2 ticks in front. We basically bifurcated the two and went ahead and pulled back, right? So there was also a decent short opportunity from that area there. Even if you took the previous daily low short, expecting them to just kind of pop into it and fail, you then got yourself a really, really nice pullback, again, with very limited risk. On the way down here, nothing super sexy over in here that lit me up, although we're pulling back into the VWAP there. Again, over here as well, nothing super sexy. We didn't really come into the level, but we did get a bearish divergence peaking close to it. So again, not my type of trade because we didn't get to where my entry would have been. And then we pulled back, right? And you did have a fade opportunity if you were super aggressive to try a bearish divergence off FMA. Again, didn't tag it, right? So again, not where I would have been filled or liked to trade. But then as we came back, started breaking out again. Again, here's another example where, hey, we didn't really test into VWAP with the bearish divergence. We popped through it 2-3 points. So again, not where I would want to be placing a trade. And then we start to pop out, right? So there was actually a nice bullish divergence on that second or third micro time frame test with the bullish divergence for the pop. But again, not necessarily what I like to see there as we're pulling back. So not really an entry for me. But this right here would have been a great opportunity, right? We're breaking out, getting up through the previous eye level, pull back, bullish divergence right at the FMA and the pop. Again, very limited risk, and you should have been able to make probably over 10 points to the upside. Getting through the previous daily low, peeking into it, only to fail back out. And if you notice here, as it's pushing out and breaking out, you did get an opportunity on the pullback to our roadmap level, to the tick, with a bullish divergence. But again, didn't quite go anywhere. You should have been able to make over 5 points, but nothing, nothing that went 10, 20, 40, 50, 100 points. On the pullback there, I've neglected to circle this, but this is actually a beautiful, beautiful opportunity right here off the roadmap level in the vicinity of the 200 with a bullish divergence as we're pulling back in what looks to be a potential breakout. Unfortunately, if you took the trade, it only got to the FMA. So you got yourself about 2 or 3 points, got a bearish divergence on the test of the FMA, and then fell through. All right, so decent trade there as well, just didn't quite follow through. And then we start getting the correction in the market. And if you look, I didn't circle this stuff, but on these tests into the 200 and basically the back end of the roadmap level that was support earlier, gave you some nice bearish divergences. That test, that test, that test, all were nice, clean, bearish divergences off the 200 and the roadmap level and the FMA that gave you the next pullback. On the way down here, notice we came right into the holy orange power level for the bounce. There wasn't a super sexy bullish dive. Well, I guess you could argue from there, but not necessarily my type of trade, but did hold the holy orange power level basically to the tick. Came up, failed off the 200, and then came up and we got a bearish divergence off the roadmap level that we were rejecting through earlier, coming back to. So another good opportunity to the tick. Another great opportunity to buy off of that next roadmap level at 26 when we were pulling back and testing into. So a lot of times we see this even when levels are close together by even just a couple ticks or a point or two or whatever. We see them come in and bounce and then come right back and then bounce off the next one, and sometimes perfectly to the tick, just like you see right here. So you had that next roadmap level with glaring divergence as we're testing into the level. So there you have it, to the tick or one tick through, and it got you a profit right to the next expected resistance, where we then got a bearish divergence off that high and got the next pullback. Again, this might have been a good trade if we had made that peak somewhere closer to the roadmap level. We had already started pushing through it. What you could do in these type of instances, and again, I'm showing this stuff to keep these setups fresh in your mind for the open, and show you this stuff is feasible to get in on these trades. If you see a setup like this, where we got a big bearish divergence right around the major scaffolding level and it starts to pull back, you could always try an entry to get in and try to capture the pullback. It's just a little bit more risky in my opinion. And then from there, we continue to sell off. Again, some little opportunities. It does hold the VWAP, bounces, does hold the back end of the 200 with bearish divergence. Just a little bit more aggressive in there. And then we come up as we're breaking down through the last major swing off the roadmap level. We then come to the back end of that very roadmap level, print a bearish divergence, and get the pullback. So that, in my opinion, was a great, great, great trade there. Didn't quite get very far. You probably got max 5 points, but a great, great trade that, for all we know, could have been the beginning of the next dip down in the market, right? From there, we come up. You can see there was a decent fade opportunity off VWAP. Again, not getting too far, but enough for you to make a little bit of money into the first expected support. And then from there, we get this rip your face off rally right back to previous daily low, where again, bearish divergence on the first test and the second test that led to the pullback to the 200 with bullish divergence for the bounce. And that led to the official breakout up into the range from the day before there. bringing us up. Again, not necessarily any super sexy trades up in here. There were some bullish divergences on these pullbacks here and here as we were trying to push back out. So again, you have an opportunity, very limited risk, could be a 100-point push from there for all you know. And then you get this nice pop. And then on the pullback here, this to me, either the pullback, getting short off FMA with bearish divergence, or playing the bounce, expecting them to continue going in the direction of that breakout with a bullish divergence, one tick in front of the 200 there for a good long opportunity. And then again, bearish divergence off our next roadmap level to the tick and 2 or 3 ticks through it for the pullback. And then on that pullback, bullish divergence off the 200, bearish divergence off of the roadmap level, bullish divergence here. This was again another really good trade opportunity, but it only got as far as the FMA before it came back, right? So again, this is why I emphasize taking profit in front of these levels in case you do get a rotation, because that's what you would expect as price tests into those areas. And then you can see at the end of the day here, gets back up, bullish divergence off the 200 for the pop, bearish divergence off the FMA on the pullback, great opportunity, bearish divergence off of the roadmap level, and then again choppy here towards the end of the day, only to break out for that last hour, get the pullback to the fast moving average with glaring bullish divergence for the next bounce, beautiful bullish opportunity on the pullback to the next roadmap level with bullish divergence, and then we pushed up at the end of the day, coming right to the next roadmap level with a bearish divergence pulling back to the FMA. Right, so you just see this stuff all over the place all day long. Sometimes you nail an entry and it goes freaking 40, 50 points and never comes back. Sometimes you just get a 2 or 3 point pullback and it comes back to your entry. That's why I'm very aggressive with how I manage my trades, because the trades that work just work, and the trades that aren't working, I close. And that's just how the cookie crumbles. So that is it. Now I'll share with you what happened here last night. Some pretty decent opportunities here. This is where I got in short just a couple minutes ago before we started our broadcast here. So we'll look at that. But coming out of the Globex Open, beautiful bullish divergence on the pullback to the VWAP and our roadmap level to the tick here for the bounce. So great long opportunity last night. If you saw that as we were testing into VWAP, seeing the bullish divergence here, when this candle was printing right off our roadmap level, and you could have got in with no risk and got yourself a beautiful 10-point pop last night. On the pullback last night, notice where they come to find the major bounce in the overnight session. Our roadmap level to the tick at 58.83, which was the resistance from the end of the day before. That led to the bounce. Take a look at the bounce again. Some nice bullish divergences on these shallow pullbacks on the way up. And then we've got the pullback. Now this, in my opinion, was a good try here. If you were watching this, making this double top off the roadmap level, big bearish divergence. A little more of an aggressive trade, but got yourself the pullback. A nice, again, pullback to the roadmap level with bearish divergence as we're failing through it. There's that play off the 200. Again, a nice scalp for 2, 3, 4 points. And then we come down just in the last hour or two and bounce to the tick off this little roadmap area that we bounced off of earlier, but they duck right into. Again, here's another example. And you can see I'm not cherry picking this stuff. Here's another beautiful example of a pullback to hold the first roadmap level, and then one that's just a point or two away or a couple ticks away. They eventually come all the way back and come right to it here for the next bounce. Right? So beautiful hold there. And then here's where I got short this morning. Basically, this is what I saw on my chart. Okay, I saw us test pulling back from the high of the overnight session, getting back through the moving averages, coming back up to test the 200 moving average. And as we made this second high, I noticed this pattern right here. Doesn't mean this pattern's going to follow through. We could have pulled back, held the roadmap level like we did right here on the first pullback, and went right on through, maybe up to VWAP or beyond. So I'm not showing this like, oh, I know that this market is definitely going lower. I just know that this is the type of setup I like. I like being in some type of trend, coming back to test one of the main moving averages, seeing some good bearish divergence, and then the icing on the cake was on my 3-minute chart. If you go back to where we were, was also showing extreme bearish divergence at the same time. So I got filled at 92, wrote it down for 5 and 10 points, and a couple scalps inside of there, and done for the day on that account, right? So that led to now the pullback, and here's the news drop where the market bounced again, one tick in front of the major scaffolding level for this bounce we just got. And now here on the pullback after the news just a couple minutes ago, we come right back to VWAP, major scaffolding level, 200 moving average, bullish divergence, and we get the bounce. Okay, and now here we are getting close to the open, about 10 minutes away. A nice bearish divergence. This is another great setup here. It's continuing to fail, holding the back end of the roadmap level, VWAP 200, big bearish divergence. Could have got yourself a little scalp there. Now, would I have been filled on my 10-pointer, my 20-pointer, my 15-pointers? No. But I would have been able to get my 2-point and my 4-point fill, right? And now here we are coming right back up. So that is the review for yesterday. Again, I think lots of beautiful opportunities. Let's go ahead and jump up to the higher time frames now and see what they have to say for this morning.